Hey everybody, Big Rick here with ComicWow. I'm here for Game Trade Media. We're going to talk about some awesome games, but the one we're going to talk about right now is called Valeria Card Kingdoms by Daily Magic Games. This is kind of a deck builder, but you're not drawing cards into a hand so much. You basically are gathering resources to defeat the monsters above here. Alright, so basically that's what comes in Valeria. You're going to get all these awesome cards. You get domain cards. You get your citizen cards, which are clerics, merchants, mercenaries, all the way up to the butcher, who's like super powerful. Which I find kind of interesting is that the butcher is the most powerful one even over the paladin. But you know, when you look at this card, I'll show you it real quick here on the close-up. You know, you look at this card right here, and it is basically that freaking meat cleaver is. I mean, it's going to cause some damage, but it's pretty good stuff right there. All right. So you have the butcher. All right. So let's go through this card game just a little bit. I got the rule book right here, so let's go ahead and check that out. So it comes with 215 different cards, from citizen cards, monster cards, domain cards, and your duke cards. There's also some reference cards. You have your starters. It'll have a starter on the back. I'll show that real quick right here. So you have your starter knight. All right. It says starter right there. All right. And then you also have your starter peasant. All right. I'm not going to show that one so much. And then you have some dividers, which are in the box, 2 6-sided dice, which are very important. And then you have these tokens here, these bits, which are your strength, your gold, your magic, and your victory points. And then these little multiplier cards. As you get your victory points, there's the potential of getting even more multipliers, so you have more resources to spend. Okay? So you set your game up like this. Each one of these monsters is part of a different region. So you have hills, ruins, forest, valley, and mountains. There's also barrens and swamp, if you wanted to switch anything out. And then you have your citizens, and each citizen has a point value from 1 to 12. And there are other citizens that you could use, but you only put down one of any 1 point value as you roll it up. So your 1s are your clerics, 2 is your merchant, 7 is a rogue, 8 is a champion. All right, and then the bottom one are domains. The domain cards are the bottom row, and when you set this game up, which is kind of interesting, you have 1 domain card face up, then 2 domain cards below it face down. So you don't really know right off the bat what's there. They're not all the same. There could be multiple different domains that you could potentially pull into your kingdom. And then, of course, each stack of your citizens has 5 cards in the stack. All right, so after you've done all that, then you start off with your starting resources. Everybody's going to start off with 2 gold bits and 1 magic bit. All right, and then you also have your duke cards. You shuffle these up. Each player will get 2 duke cards. Let's say I got this awesome guy here, Hrothgar the Conqueror. All right, and Hrothgar is one of the duke cards. All right, he's pretty cool. I like him. And then you have this other duke card. Let's say I got dealt these 2 ones. Node the Swordsmaster. All right, or Master of Swords, and everything. He looks pretty cool. So let's say I got dealt those 2. Everybody would get dealt 2 dukes or duchesses, and then you choose between the 2 which one is going to be the one you are going to play. I would probably pick Hrothgar just because I think that's a cool ass name. So that's what I would pick. All right, and then you select who the active player is to start playing the game. You start off with a roll phase when you play it, and you take your 2 dice. All right, so you have, as your starter, you have your duke right here, your starter peasant, and your starter knight. Okay, and the roll phase is you're going to roll the 2 6-sided dice. All right, and let's say I rolled those, and I got a 2 and a 4. All right, how this works: the 2 and the 4 are the numbers that would be representative of the cards in front of you as far as your citizen cards. Okay. But because I do not have a 2 or a 4, individually these dice do not activate any one of these cards. But together, so you do them individually first, then you do them together. And together they add up to 6. So that would activate the knight card for me. All right. So the knight card generates 1 strength token. And I would put that strength token in front of me, because that's what I would get. So after you do that, before players activate their citizens, the active player must decide to use the power of any number of the domain cards they own. Because I do not own any domain, that actually, they have a very high cost. So like one domain here, the Cloud Riders Camp, costs 8 and 2. So 8 gold and 2 magic just to get it. If I wanted to get another peasant, let's say there's a peasant up here, they cost 2 gold plus. So for every peasant you have, because I already have one, it would cost me 3 gold or 2 gold plus an additional resource. So I would have to actually spend 2 gold and my magic to purchase that one. And that would happen on your harvest phase. Citizen activate the value of each die and the sum of the die. Active players harvest from the left side of the, and then their citizens cards. All other players from the right side of their citizens cards, if any player didn't activate. And so based off my roll, 2 and a 4, anybody else that's playing the game also activates off their citizen cards. So that happens every round. So everybody's constantly gaining resources. Then your action phase, you can take 2 actions from the list that's on the resource card. You have slay a monster, recruit a citizen, buy a domain, or gain 1 gold or 1 magic or 1 strength. So you can, like me, in the beginning, I would probably recruit a citizen and gain 1 of those 3 resources. When you end your phase, active player passes the dice to their left to the next player. Relatively simple. All right, the game ends immediately when the number of exhausted stacks, which are these cards, you have exhausted cards, equals 2 times the number of players. All right, so that's what the exhausted card looks like. Not bad, it's the same on each side. And how the exhausted cards work, all right, if I'm getting this right. So it says, once the number of exhausted stacks. So if I've gone through, let's say we've exhausted the mercenary, and you put an exhausted there, so that's an exhausted stack. All right. Once there are 2 times the amount of exhausted stacks as there are players, so if we're playing a 4-player game, there would have to be 8 exhausted stacks. And at that point, the game ends. All monsters are dead, or 2 times the number of players, or all monsters are dead, or all domains are bought. All right, so those are your things. And then the player with the most of the purple victory points is your winner. So relatively easy to figure out. When you look at it, when you first open this box, you see all this stuff. You're like, oh, wow, this is a lot of stuff. But it really is a very simple game, a lot of fun. There are 2 expansion packs out as well, so check those out. And yeah, so that's Valeria Card Kingdoms by Daily Magic Games. It's for 1 to 5 players, ages 13 and up, and it takes 30 to 45 minutes to play. I'm Big Rick. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at your local game shop.